Hi there, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman in the business today, Sonny Hersh, and your host, Avi Meyers.
Thank you, Marty. Marty, how you doing? And I hope all of you watched our live show from Green Street last Sunday. And I want to tell you, it was our pleasure to have as our featured guest the person that first of all, I should say, you know what, I'll introduce him first, then I'll use the other stuff. But the man that I am voting for, as long as he doesn't prosecute me several times, I think he would prosecute me, for State's Attorney of Cook County. And it's a tradition that we have the State's Attorney of Cook County in this general area. The present county commissioner for the 13th District of Cook County, and somebody who's really shown himself over the years to be a truly outstanding individual who always stands for the rights of the people over special interests and all the rest of it, Larry Suffredin. How are you?
Avi, thank you. I'm fine. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, my pleasure, and I do want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh, and I want to urge all of you to check our website at ntnm.org. At this point, by the time we come on the air, you know, it's going to be like 20,000 of you have made the mistake already of watching shows on YouTube. And, of course, community policing, very important. We're always a big, big proponent of that. And, of course, Sonny Hersh is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District, and you can find all the meetings at caps24.org, caps24.org. And now, now I already know at least a couple dozen reasons why I should vote for you for State's Attorney, but why don't you share them with a bunch of other people?
Well, thank you. You know, as we come up to February 5th, the presidential campaigns are really so exciting, and they've been taking away a lot of the emphasis on some of the other campaigns. But I think the most important local race is the Cook County State's Attorney's race, because it is the State's Attorney's office that has both criminal and civil powers. And there are three qualities you want in a state's attorney. One, you want an independent person. And Alberto Gonzalez has proved to us if you allow someone who is not independent of political influences to have a justice office, you undermine the whole concept of justice. Second is you need an experienced person. And of all the people running in this campaign, I've tried 136 juries to verdict, more than any of my opponents. I've been in the appellate court to the U.S. Supreme Court, the Illinois Supreme Court, all the appellate court districts of Illinois. I've taught law school. I've been on the county board where I've had the privilege for 5 years in representing a lot of people in this area and negotiating a lot of important issues, including the Shackman Decree, which protects you from patronage hiring at the county level. So I think that the third quality you want is someone who is fair. And I believe that I am the candidate who, through my record in public life and my 35 years of striving to get justice for clients as a lawyer, has shown that I am fair and that I have the ability to bring equal justice through every part of this county. I also, I think, have the best program for getting the prosecutor's office into our communities to listen to the citizens, to figure out what it is that are the issues and problems of your community that you need help with. If it's drugs, if it's guns, if it's gangs, we're going to tackle those things with you. If it's an environmental issue, we'll tackle it with you. We're going to tackle mortgage predators, payday loan predators. We're going to help people with the issues that make their life important. And finally, we're going to work and make with every ounce of energy we have to get these guns that are off the street, that make it difficult for kids and seniors and others to go out and walk around the neighborhoods and do the common things that we all were able to do when we were growing up. We're going to fight to get the source of those guns stopped, get them off the streets of Cook County, and finally we're going to go after public corruption in a way that's never been done. You know, I have two opponents who both have been in the State's Attorney's Office who say they weren't able to find any corruption in Cook County. So, you know, that being the case, I'm going to prove to them that they were wrong. You can't, right now, it's the United States Attorney who protects the people of Cook County and the newspapers. The only two prosecutions they found were one that the Southtown developed for them and another that the Tribune developed for them. So that's the reason I hope that you'll vote for me. And early voting is going on right now, so please either vote now or vote on February 5th.
Let me remind everybody, too, that you can also pick up your free issue of Jewish Chicago, which is on newsstands all over the place, downtown, all around downtown, all the way up, Lakeshore Drive, far north, the suburbs, the whole shot, in which the publisher, in his wisdom, has endorsed Larry Suffredin for state's attorney.
Well, thank you, Mr. Publisher. I appreciate that you have endorsed me. And Jewish Chicago, you know, is in prior elections, and every time I've run, I've had the privilege of being endorsed by. Really is a widely read publication, and I think that it educates a lot of voters on who these candidates are and what they're standing for in the issues. So I appreciate having the endorsement of it.
Well, first of all, and you know what, it's the you know, and frankly, I think it's in the best interest of the people of Cook County to have good government, and that's one thing that let me urge all of you to understand that regardless of the situation and the issue, Commissioner Larry Suffredin has always stood for good government in the best interest of the people.
Well, thank you. You know, I've had the real privilege as a county commissioner to represent one of the most diverse areas of Cook County with 49th and 50th wards, and then the suburban areas of Evanston and New Trier and Niles and Northfield and Main Township. But you learn when you're representing that kind of an area how you need to make sure that everybody feels involved and they feel that the decisions of government are equally made. And that's what's got to happen in the state's attorney's office. There are 150 separate communities of Cook County, and what we need is a state's attorney who you'll have confidence in makes the same decision with a juvenile, whether they're in Winnetka or they're in Robbins, whether they're in Maywood or in Oak Park or in Lawndale. So that's what I promise you, that I will make sure that the diversion programs that are available throughout our system are available to every person. I will make sure that we stop this terrible profiling of African Americans that does seem to go on. I mean, we just had a report showing that African Americans get 5 times greater drug sentences than non-African Americans in the Cook County courts. We have got to do something about that. We're going to take on police corruption. We're going to take on the abuse of citizens by the police to make sure that the state's attorney's office is protecting the constitutional rights of the community, the victims, and defendants, so that we won't have reversals as we had in all those death penalty cases by the Supreme Court saying the prosecutor's office hadn't fairly dealt with those cases.
You know, that's horrid, and besides for the fact that it's definite subversion of justice. I mean, you know, talking about innocent people, you know, spending time in jail, the millions of dollars it's costing after the fact, the shame and the lack of confidence in the system, it's appalling. It really is.
And innocent people should never go to jail. Okay?
That's a very,
but I want to make one thing perfectly clear. If those that aren't innocent, who violate the laws, are going to go to jail. I mean, we are going to be tough on criminals. We're going to make sure that we take that cancer out of our communities, because that's got to be part of the plan to make neighborhoods safe so that people can feel comfortable in walking around. My goal is to be able, throughout the years as state's attorney, to go everywhere in Cook County, to walk in communities and be able to go places with the people of those communities without them fearing some kind of a predator that's going to hurt them.
Now, and I think that's good stuff. You know, one of the interesting things is that even in races, in some areas where people are fighting each other, both sides are often supporting you.
Yes, I've, you know, here in the 50th ward, I think both Alderman Stone and Senator Silverstein are supporting my candidacy for state's attorney. Right. You know, I've been
good
fortunate.
Taste on both their parts.
Yes, I've been fortunate to have a lot of good friends and to have a lot of good endorsements. I've been endorsed by the Brady campaign. Jim Brady and his wife are just two of my heroes for what they've done in the gun control since Jim's tragic injury with President Reagan in the assassination attempt. I've been endorsed by the IBI-IPO, an important group, the granddaddy of all of the independent organizations. I've been endorsed by Citizen Action. You know, the endorsements just keep coming. The people who are endorsing me are the kind of people you want to have represent you. Jan Schakowsky, Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. have supported me. 2 of the national co-chairs of the Barack Obama campaign, who fortunately came back from Iowa, where we spent a lot of people so that they have devoted themselves since the Iowa caucuses to my campaign. You know, Jesse White, who's a regular guest of yours, the Secretary of State is with me, Alderman Walter Burnett, and then I have, besides Alderman Stone, I have Alderman Moore and Alderman Marianne Smith and Alderman Tom Tunney and Alderman Helen Schiller, so that we have just broad support throughout this county. In the suburbs, I have Senator Don Harmon in Oak Park and the Oak Park Democrats. I have the Palatine Democrats, the Wheeling Democrats, the Elk Grove group. We have a contingent out there that's supporting us. Main Township, Northfield Township, New Trier Township, Evanston, Niles, It's a growing group, and we're expanding to the western suburbs and the southern suburbs. I believe we will win this because we're running a county-wide race.
That'll be terrific. And is there a basic strategy behind? I mean, there's got to be a strategy, of course.
There's always a strategy. Our strategy has been to reach out to every part of the county, and where there are progressive voters, where there are people who are concerned about the way justice is administered, those are the people we've been able to get to. Those who believe that the status quo is fine, I'm never going to get. But those who want change, who want to see a different kind of office, they're my voters. This is, I think I've told you this before, this is the first time since 1948 that we have an election where there's not an incumbent state's attorney of one party or the other involved in the electoral process.
I didn't realize that.
So this is a first time to really change this office since 1948, and I was born in 1947, so I was not thinking about the state's attorney's office in that election.
I wouldn't think so for some reason. That's an interesting way to look at things. Now, well, first of all, let's give people the opportunity if they want to volunteer or participate in your campaign.
Our website is suffredinforstatesattorney.org, and the phone number is 312-836-4073. And we would welcome anyone who would call, and we'll find something for you to do. We're still doing mailings. We're still doing phone calling. We are, as this goes on, we will be on television with our paid media. We are, at this point, going to be reaching out to touch every voter we can between now and February 5th. And I appreciate the support that you've given me, the support that I've gotten from my constituents in my county board district, and now I just have to multiply that by the 16 other county board districts.
Well, for those people who aren't in the district, who aren't familiar, I'll tell you this much, that among the things, you've given people the opportunity to actually participate in making this a better place in good government, whether it's helping clean up in the forest preserves or various places, not to mention the fact that one of the things you campaigned about before you came in as county commissioner was wanting to get health care in the area, and finally, bang, we're actually getting a facility to aid people in the area.
Right. We've just opened one primary health care facility with the Asian Human Service Group, and we're going to open on February 11th another one with the Heartland Alliance, which will be over on Tui. And the ability to try and get health care here and to tie it into the county system has been something I care a lot about. As I said, my county board district is the most diverse of all the commissioners. I have rich, I have poor, I have immigrant, I have non-immigrant, I have those who have Spanish as a primary language, those who have French with the Haitian community as a primary language.
That's right, in Evanston, it's quite a significant community.
Well,
Hi, Jacques.
Yeah, and a group actually in Rogers Park over on Jonquin Terrace.
Oh, that's right, there's a church over there for,
right.
Yeah.
So, I know, and by the way, the Asian community, we have one of the largest Asian groups, population of any district, with those that are living here in Rogers Park and Skokie and Evanston. So I understand that diversity is a plus, and that we have to, in a justice office, make sure that no one is discriminated against because of who they are or what they believe in or what their orientation is. This office will be committed to making sure that all people get treated fairly, and that justice will be something that they can count on and use as a reason for their neighborhood being better.
And let me just tell you, in my experience, and I think it's been 5 years now that you're in office, Commissioner Suffredin is good to his word, and I give him a lot of credit for that, because many politicians aren't. But, I've never heard you say one thing and then do another.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you, and not just for me, but for everybody else who appreciates the kind of things that you've been doing. So how do you campaign? I mean, you go from place to place. I mean, you look for events.
I ran into the comedian Al Franken a few weeks ago at a dinner, and he's running for the United States Senate in Minnesota. In Minnesota, there are 4 million people. In Cook County, there are 5.5 million people. In Minnesota, they expect in the Democratic primary to be 300,000. Normally, we'd have about 600,000 in the Democratic primary, but we're expecting it'll be a little over 700,000 with the excitement about the presidential race. And so the way we've been reaching out is that I know I cannot touch the hands of 700,000 people in this campaign, so I've tried to go to as many places and as diverse places, getting the endorsements of as many people. I mentioned in some of the endorsements I've gotten, but I've also been endorsed by a number of ethnic groups, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Indian community. All of those communities help spread the word. I have the endorsements of two of the largest unions in America, ASME and SEIU, and they're spreading the word. I try to go to as many places. We have radio ads that are running. We have television ads that are running because that's how we'll get the most coverage. But more importantly, it is sitting down and making sure people understand what I stand for and that the issues that are important to me are the issues I believe that are important to them. Saving our children from being shot. I've mentioned to you before that the first letter home that was sent home this year by Arnie Duncan of the Chicago Public Schools was a letter that said, "Dear children, last year, 29 of your fellow students were killed by gun violence. This year we have to improve that." And I was so struck by the fact that rather than talking about improving reading scores or math scores, he's trying to save lives. And so we've got to be a partner with them. And I want to get these prosecutors out of the courthouses and into the community to listen. I also want to get them into the schools because one of the things that is really troubling is that if you look at a lot of the murder cases that have happened in our area, the trigger people who fired the weapon are juveniles because the gangbangers know maybe that juvenile can get a break in the court system. And so what we've got to do is get into the school system and get to these kids to tell them that these gangbangers are not heroes and that there are consequences to behavior, and you can destroy your life if you make a hero out of one of these people and they ask you to do something that's wrong. So I want these children to understand the consequences of certain kind of behavior, and hopefully we can keep kids from getting into the penitentiary system.
No, that'd be terrific. There's no question about it. So once again, let's give everybody your contact information.
All right, it is Suffredin for statesattorney.org, and the phone number is 312-836-4073. And again, we'd welcome every one of you there. And please vote, and please stick with the ballot after the presidential votes. I know electing a president is exciting, and I know the possibility of that president being one of our senators is exciting, but there are other offices that have meaning. There's a great race for Recorder of Deeds. Ed Smith, a very progressive candidate in that race. There are some really talented candidates for water reclamation, and then the judicial officers. We have a candidate running, Alan Greiman. It has been over 14 years since a Jewish candidate has won county-wide in a judicial race.
Right.
Alan Greiman is the presiding judge of the appellate court, one of the great judges, used to be the state rep in this area. Please remember Alan Greiman and the other fine candidates that Avi has brought to you on the show.
And you have a ballot number?
My ballot number is 59. So punch 59, even though we don't punch now, but everybody thinks that way. So 59, Suffredin for state's attorney, and I promise you, if you vote that way, in November when I win this election and we have a great Democratic year, I will make you proud of the office of state's attorney.
And he will, trust me, he definitely will, and I'll be voting for you, and I hope all of you will join me in voting for Commissioner Larry Suffredin and make him our next state's attorney of Cook County. Thank you so much.
Abby,
and good luck.
thank you very much.
And you can already vote in Chicago, early voting.